The story starts off with the main character defeating the Demon King. He says that if you are foolish, you will be grabbed, and if you are king, you will be used, which is pretty deep. The world is finally peaceful now, but the main character is hung up on a cross. The crowd around him are all shouting to finish him off, and the princess of the royal family says that he should not have rejected her and should have become her puppet. She tells him that it is a crime to reject her, and because of that, they will finish him off. The main character laughs like a crazy man, and the slaughterer chops his head off. He is still laughing and curses everyone in the crowd and shouts that he will take everything and burn them all and eliminate the woman who tricked him and all the traitors. Later, the main character is in a white world and someone is hugging him from behind. The goddess of love who hugs him calls him Raul, and he pushes her off of him. She begs him to torture her more so she can give him more strength and calls him the hero. Raul tells her that if she really loves him, she would let him live again so he can eliminate everyone in the world. 1 year later, in the kingdom of Kurz in the Auerbach castle, the princess is getting ready. All the maids around her compliment her and her clothes, saying that the dress was high quality and made for her specifically. The princess is holding a paddle and she gets very angry and slaps one of the maids with the paddle. Blood comes out of her mouth and the maid apologizes, but the princess just keeps attacking her. She screams at them, saying that her appearance is not good and that she has something better than the dress she is wearing. The maids say that the dress was given to her by Emil for the wedding, but then the maid that the princess was attacking stops moving. The princess tells them to get a different dress for her to change to and to clean up the body that was on the floor. The bodyguard that is standing behind them thinks back to a month ago, when a lot of bad stuff happened. A month ago, the soldiers protecting the kingdom's gates were defeated even though it was a clear day. They all mysteriously disappeared, and with the huge pool of blood, there was a large pool of water as well. The Royal Order of Chivalry has been investigating the incident, but they have not found anything at all and do not know if it was a demon who did it or not. The bodyguard, Commander Sandler, bows down to her and gets excited at seeing the princess in her undergarments. She wants to protect the princess even if she makes her angry and tells her to not hold the parade because of the bad incident a month ago. The commander does not want something bad to happen to the princess, and the princess then says if there is even a single scratch on her body, she would eliminate the Order of Chivalry that is responsible for protecting her. The commander says that the gatekeepers at the front lines were defeated easily, and preparing for the worst scenario is her job. Other bad incidents have also happened with the leaders of the country dying of a disease that no one knows about and says that they are basically cursed by something. The princess says that she does not care how many old people are not alive, and it has nothing to do with her. The commander says that before they give in to the disease, they become crazy and have a high fever and say, "Bless Her Highness, the princess," over and over. The princess likes this because she enjoys the attention and her ego is so big. The commander says that the massacre of the gatekeepers and the stuff that the sick people are saying happening at the same time means that something bad will happen, and wants to move the parade to another time when they get the person who attacked the soldiers. The princess says that the demon king and hero are not alive anymore, so there is nothing to fear, and during the parade, they held a lot of shields anyways, the knights and the parade lookers. Since she is the country's sacred treasure, everyone would protect her so she does not fear anything. The commander thinks that she is too cruel, but that is why she protects her, because she likes her. During the parade lookers all congratulate the princess, Victoria, for their wedding with Emil. She waves to the crowd of people and feels happy because of their cheers, and Emil says that there is a lot of support because everyone is hypnotized by Victoria. She says that all the citizens love her and Emil is just an extra, but Emil likes this and calls her beautiful. Princess Victoria has no complaints towards marrying Emil, but Emil keeps talking about his mother. Emil says that his mother was very happy that he is marrying the princess and wants to follow her advice. He talks a lot about his mother, which the princess does not like a lot because it is disgusting how much Emil likes his mother. The only reason she is marrying him is so she can have a son and put him in the throne so she can control the country while using her son. She thinks that Emil is useful enough to use because he is stupid, and the only good thing about him is how he looks. If she had an ugly boy, she would hate it and would probably get rid of him, so that is why she wanted someone good-looking but preferred the hero that she eliminated a year ago. In the past, Princess Victoria remembers when Raul bowed toward her in the castle and told her that he would defeat the Demon King and bring peace to the world. She liked him because he was a simple, kind, and stupid man, but his eyes were powerful. She wanted to spoil his eyes, and she is one crazy woman. Rawl was her favorite, but he was eliminated too fast, and it was too harsh, and it was a waste for him to die. She wonders why he did not become hers, but he probably knew how weird and crazy she was when no one is looking. During the wedding ceremony, the people are cheering for the princess while the Royal Order of Chivalry are standing guard and pledging their allegiance to the royal family. The people are praising the princess and asking the princess to look at them, and when she does, everyone is cheering for her. The princess thinks that the country and the world is hers because everyone is congratulating her and wants to take everything. The priest who is waiting for the princess blesses her marriage with Emil, while the princess waits for them to say the words she wants to hear the most. She waits for them to announce her queen status so she can have all the glory that she deserves, but they say the same words that the old men who caught a disease say. Bless her highness, the princess. When she hears this, she wonders what that was, but suddenly, the priest in front of her explodes and blood goes all over her. The princess remembers what the commander told her about the old men going crazy and wonders if it is just a coincidence, but when she looks around, she sees someone with black hair and red eyes, the same one as Rawl. Rawl reveals himself to everyone and asks how the princess is doing. The princess screams that this is impossible and saw his head being cut a year before, but Rawl says that he has been resurrected from hell so he can get his revenge on everyone with a crazy face. Rawl tells everyone he got resurrected so he can get his revenge. Before he gets resurrected, the goddess of love asks him to scold him for not doing anything because she enjoys it, and Rawl thinks that she is an insane goddess. Rawl told her that he would become the savior and bring peace to the world, and she supports him even though he would not do that just because she is the goddess of love and Rawl being her lover. Rawl asks if the gods wished for this to happen, and the goddess says no because they did not think the humans would eliminate their savior, but Rawl grabs her head and tells her that this is what the humans they wanted to save are really like and to not forget the fate of the savior. The goddess tells him that they made a mistake and will not help the humans anymore, and Rawl asks if she loves those people as well. The goddess says that Rawl is the only one she loves and describes how strong he is and how special he is to her. Rawl then gets a plan and thinks she would be useful and asks her to help him with her powers. He asks her to resurrect him and he can eliminate the humans. The goddess is surprised and tells him that once a spirit has already left, they cannot return to the ground, and gods who disobey the law cannot be a god anymore. Rawl does not care about their rules and says that she does not really love him if she cannot do it, but the goddess quickly says that she does love him. Rawl tells her to resurrect him then, and she thinks for a bit before finally agreeing. Rawl thinks that the cause of everything was the gods and would do anything to get revenge, and that because of the gods, he went through something bad. The goddess says sorry, and Rawl tells her to give him the other powers that have been sealed, but the goddess quickly says no. The power that he wants is the power of darkness, which is used to destroy everything, and if he uses it, his soul will be destroyed by the darkness. Rawl gets angry and thinks back to the bad stuff that happened when he was younger, and that when everything important to him was taken from him, he stopped being a human. The goddess asks him to live with her in paradise forever, but Rawl says that if he wants to be happy, it would only be when he can see the humans suffer for what they did. He tells her that since he is the savior, he would help them from the world that has demons, but eliminating and cleaning the world. The goddess asks if he will be walking on the path of destruction, and Rawl says he will get rid of the bad stuff from the world. The goddess gets excited and tells him that even if he becomes evil, he is still beautiful, and Rawl thinks she is just some crazy goddess. Rawl tells her to grant his wish, and the goddess kisses him, which gives him his original powers. He tells her to quickly revive him, and the goddess does not want to be away from him, but give him her blessings. The goddess tells him to go and begin his new legend, and Rawl gets ready to clean the world. He reaches the kingdom, and the gatekeepers stop him from entering. They say that since it is a month from the princess's wedding parade, they are limiting the amount of people coming in, and suddenly Rawl disappears. He attacks all the gatekeepers and eliminates them all at the same time because he remembers how they attacked and violated his friends in the past. Back to the present time, the princess screams because of the blood on her body and says that it is dirty. Rawl laughs at her and says that other people's lives are the same as dirt to her. The commander stands between Rawl and the princess, ready to defend her. She says that Rawl is a demon that looks the same as the hero because he is already dead from long ago. The commander calls the priests the messenger of gods, but Rawl looks at them like they are dirty because of how they act. They take money from believers and eliminate the people by making false stories, like if people cannot pay, then they are brainwashed by demons. They torture the people as well, and the commander, Sandra, hesitates a little, but the princess screams at her. The princess screams at Raul and tells him to show his true form, but Raul just says that it is really him, but the princess says that he should not be alive. Raul says that if they do not believe him, they cannot talk, and tells her to look at him carefully and grabs her hair. The Order of Chivalry quickly get in position to attack Raul, and while they charge at him, Raul laughs and eliminates the knights fast. The people all around him see this and quickly try to run away, running over each other and pushing them out of the way. Raul looks at them and laughs because the princess's subjects are fighting with each other, and tells everyone to stop and look at him. He starts a show and tells everyone that it is more exciting if more people are looking at them, and grabs the princess by the hair. Raul tells everyone to watch him because they all enjoy stuff like this, but the people are shouting at him to free them, and they are ordinary people, so they have nothing to do with this. They ask if he will eliminate them as well and ask him to stop, but Raul just laughs at them. The princess screams at them to be quiet and tells them to not panic because she does not fear the monster who only looks like the hero. Everyone quiets down, and Raul tells her that he has been reborn and to accept what is happening. The princess tells Sandra to eliminate Raul, but Sandra says that she cannot move and that her legs are frozen with magic. The princess does not care and tells her to cut her leg, but Raul tells her not to do that because this is his stage and not to change the script. Sandra tells him to shut up, and Raul knows that she is a nice and pure knight, but knows what she really is. Raul walks with the princess and takes her in front of Emil, who is crying and pees in his pants because he is scared of what will happen. Raul tells them that since it is a marriage parade, the husband should join as well, so he uses magic to pull Emil towards the princess, and the both of them are stuck together. The princess asks what he is doing, but Emil says that he is not doing anything and asks his mother for help, like she can do anything to save him. Emil starts crying harder and calls for his mama, and the princess is embarrassed by this. Raul laughs and says that Emil, the husband of the princess, had a mother complex. Emil keeps crying and grabs the princess, and Sandra screams at him to let go of her. Raul says that all the actors are ready now and starts the play. Raul walks towards the princess and asks why she is not wearing a white dress, since this is a wedding announcement, and that the blood would not look good on a red dress. He rips the princess's dress off, revealing her body for everyone to see. The princess screams, and the people around him smile at this and get excited, but the princess becomes very angry and asks what Raul is doing to her. Raul asks if she wanted children, and the princess becomes scared and asks if he will touch her. The princess screams that her body is not something that someone like him can touch, while Emil is behind her, screaming for his mama again. The princess says that if he does touch her, he would be attacked at the cross again like before, and Raul asks if she finally understands that he really is the hero, and the princess tells him that she will forgive him if he apologizes now. Sandra shouts at him and says that he is a coward for taking the princess hostage and to fight them with honor, but Raul looks at her quickly and asks her if they have forgotten what they did to capture him before. Before going to the Demon King, Raul and his party were at Macaulay village to rest for a while. The people there greet him and ask if they are leaving already after eating. Raul's party members, the Great Sorcerer and the Saint, tell them that they are fully prepared to go finish their mission to restore peace to the world as fast as possible and thank them for their help. A child in the village gives Raul some bread, and he asks if he is fine with giving him bread, and the child says that it is as long as they defeat the Demon King and to come back and play with him again. Sandra and the knights are kneeling in front of the princess and tell her that the hero has eliminated the Demon King, and the princess tells them to capture the hero immediately. She tells them to first search the village that the hero was friendly with, and Sandra asks if they will be taking them hostage, but the princess says no and tells them to eliminate them all as badly as possible. She tells them to attack the women and children as well, and Sandra agrees while the princess wonders how Raul will react. When Raul goes back to the village after defeating the Demon King, he finds all the villagers eliminated with claws coming out of their body. Everyone is eliminated, and the knights around him quickly capture Raul while the Great Sorcerer smiles at him. Raul tells Sandra that eliminating the knights was for her, and Sandra says that it is not her fault and what she did was not a crime. Sandra screams at him, saying that she is just one of the princess's knights and she was only following her orders. Sandra says that it is fine to commit a massacre for justice and the princess is surprised at what she said and tells her to stop. Sandra says that the princess's orders are correct and all lives are trash and nothing compared to the princess's, and everyone is willing to die for her. Everyone hears this because Raul uses his magic to make her voice louder so everyone can hear it, and thanks her for saying what he wanted her to say. Raul says that the princess's crime has been revealed, and the people around her wonder what she actually did if the villagers being eliminated was not the hero's fault. The princess screams at Sandra for what she said, and Raul laughs while Sandra apologizes for it. Raul uses his magic on Sandra again, which makes her punch the princess in the face, which breaks her teeth while she starts bleeding from her mouth. The princess becomes very angry now and shouts what she did to her and why she punched her beautiful face. Raul laughs at this and keeps using his magic on Sandra to hit the princess while Emo keeps crying and shouts for his mama to come. The princess's face now is puffy because of Sandra, and Raul tells her that her face is a mess now. The princess tells him to only attack her face, but Raul gets a better idea and tells her that she has to make up for what she did for the sin of eliminating her older sister. Before attacking the Demon King, Raul meets his pregnant older sister at a church and tells her to worry about herself now because she is getting a baby soon. She says the church was built by a saint who got the money from the war, so it should grant them protection, and Raul tells her that she cannot speak for others. His sister gets a bit embarrassed, but they both laugh about it. Raul touches her stomach and says that the next time they meet, the baby should be born, and his sister says that they will be waiting for him because the hero needs to carry the baby in his arms. She kisses him on his forehead and tells him that she will be praying every day for God's protection, and Raul leaves. After defeating the Demon King, we see that the knights brought Raul back to the castle and put him in front of the princess. The princess asks how he is and did not expect that it would be easy to catch him. Raul asks why they are doing this and what he did wrong, and the princess says that his crime is just for being alive. They only needed him to defeat the Demon King, but now that he has been eliminated, they have no use for him anymore. Raul asks why they attacked the village, then because they were all innocent, but the princess says she did not do it and it was the hero's fault. The princess tells him that if he becomes hers, she can save him, but Raul spits the blood in his mouth onto her face and tells her that he hates the look in her eyes. The princess tells Sandra to take him away, and Raul asks what she is going to do to him, but Sandra takes him to the church where his older sister prays. He smells the blood around him and sees his older sister in the middle of the room with swords in her body. He remembers what his sister told him about him carrying the baby in his arms, but he cannot do that anymore. Raul tells the princess that she will make up for eliminating his older sister in the past, and the princess asks what he is going to do. He uses some magic, which activates a magic circle on her chest, and Raul says that he cannot get rid of her yet and to keep abusing her more. He activates his magic, which explodes something in her body, and the princess screams in pain with blood coming out of her mouth. The princess says it hurts a lot, and Emil screams what is happening and again keeps calling for his mother. The princess lays down on the floor with blood around her and screaming that her stomach hurts, and Raul says that if she keeps screaming, she will be gone from too much bleeding. Raul stops the bleeding because he wants to keep abusing her and says if she is gone now, it would be boring. Raul asks if it still hurts, but the princess just shouts at him, saying that what he did is unforgivable, and even though he was just a tool to her, she asks what she did wrong. Raul says that he is doing this because of what she did in the past and getting karma for her bad deeds, and he is just copying what they did to him. He then turns around to do knights and tells them that they should be excited because they will also be getting a chance to be gone as well, and he snaps his fingers. The people in the crowd are scared of what will happen, and some of them scream while the princess shouts at them what they are doing and to attack Raul, or else they will be punished. Raul laughs at her, and the fact that she is still angry is funny to him. The knights start attacking Raul to save the princess and put their swords into Raul's body. Everyone is surprised that he got attacked so easily, and the princess laughs at him and tells him that this is what happens if someone goes against her. The princess tells him to regret what he did to her, but Raul looks a bit upset and tells the princess that the hero is not going to be defeated by some swords and looks cool, just like a main character. The princess is shocked at this, and Raul takes the swords out of his body and tells her that he will be back soon once she gets her face back so he can destroy it again. He throws the sword toward Emil, and he screams like a baby. Raul leaves the stage, but before he disappears, he says he forgot something. He turns back and congratulates the princess on her wedding with a smile and while she is crying, he says, "Bless Her Highness the Princess." He then leaves and goes to the church where his older sister used to go and put some flowers in the middle of the room where her body used to be. There is an old fat man in the church wearing no clothes and crying, and Raul leaves the church. When outside, he uses his magic to burn the church, saying that he will not return again, and sees his sister's soul coming out of the church. Raul laughs, saying that his body can even see ghosts now, and says that a sane mind is not good for revenge. He talks to his sister like a crazy guy and says that the royal capital is in chaos now, and the people there are almost starting to rebel against the princess because they are suspicious of her. The people who believed in the princess before are now scared of her, and because of that, they are hunting Raul. There are multiple healers that are healing the princess because of what he did to her, but her stomach would not be healed anymore because it is too damaged. He also put a barrier around the capital just in case some people try to escape so he can go back and get revenge. The old fat man in the church was a priest who sold his sister out, but he already eliminated him before the parade started. After that, he disguised himself as the priest so he could be right in front of the princess and surprise her, and the face she made was very good when she noticed him. The priest that he eliminated was named Gustav, who lived in a huge mansion because of the money he took from the poor people and commoners. When Gustav saw Raul, he was surprised and revealed his true self. When Gustav was wearing no clothes, he asked what Raul wanted and if he wanted money and how much. He said that he would give him the money he took from the believers and give him women as well because with his status, he can give him anything he wanted and to let him live. Raul got angry at that, so he eliminated him with a punishment that Gustav loved doing to other people. He says that he was not doing it for his sister. This is not a proper cause, and he hates justice a lot, and he will get his revenge on everyone for what they did. No matter what happens, he will get rid of every bad person and will not show mercy to anyone ever. The church is still burning, and he says it is time to go start the second part of this comedy while looking like a crazy demon. In the Auerbach castle, the commander of the royal order, Sandra, is in the underground prison and chained to the wall and covered with cuts and scratches. The princess is attacking her for not cutting her leg when Raul used his magic to stop her from moving. Sandra tries to apologize, but the princess whips her and says her apology is not worth anything. Sandra tries to ask her to stop, but the princess tells her to stop talking and gets even angrier. She tells her that ever since Raul showed up to the parade, she could not leave the castle and eliminate people or do anything she wanted, as if she was cursed. She tells Sandra that if she cannot leave anymore, she should just keep oinking like a stupid pig. The princess keeps attacking Sandra, but even though she is covered in blood, nothing is happening to Sandra, and the servants tell her that this must be because the hero used his magic on them and did something. Even though the princess tried to use a sword to get rid of her head, it did nothing, and the princess tells them to go capture the hero immediately. She changes her mind and tells them to just eliminate him and to bring back his head as proof instead. One of the knights is riding a horse as fast as possible to reach someone who could defeat the hero and is their ally. He is trying to deliver a message to him secretly before someone notices, but suddenly the horse stops. He asks what is wrong with it, and a few goblins come out of the forest, and the knight says he has no time to attack the monsters. Suddenly, behind the knight, a goblin king appears and attacks him, but before he does, someone shows up to save him and blocks the attack. He asks the knight if he is all right, and the knight calls him Your Excellency. More goblins show up, and the mysterious guy tells him that the whole pack follow him. He tells the knight to stay close to him and eliminates all the goblins in one attack. The knight is surprised at how fast he took out the goblins, and the guy asks the knight if he is injured. The knight tells him that he is one of the greatest swordsmen in the country. The person tells him that he will not be hunted by the goblins anymore because he is here now, but smiles at him like a crazy man. The guy who saved the knight is sitting with his family and eating some food. He tells his sons that he will be leaving for the royal capital the next day, and his sons ask if he will be going to hunt down the hero that has come back alive. He laughs, saying that the news spreads fast, and tells them that a messenger from the Imperial Guard camp came in the morning to give him a message which said that they wanted him to handle the hero. His sons tell him to eliminate the hero as cruelly as possible. They say that they could have been brothers in arms if it happened 6 months later, and his younger brother says that it would be a year for him. Their father tells them that a year will pass by fast and tells one of his children, Connie, something. He is bringing a new toy when he comes back from the royal capital and tells him to focus on training for now. He becomes happy and thanks his father. His wife tells him that he is too soft on Connie and tells his other son, Adam, that he is looking forward to the day they can fight together and his wife laughs. A servant comes out and asks his master what they should do for the messenger's meal and if they should start preparing, but a butler comes out and apologizes to their master. The butler tells him that he just started working there recently, so he does not know how they work, but their master says it is fine. He tells the servants that the messenger already went back because he was worried about the royal capital and they do not need to make a meal for him anymore. He then tells them to leave and they both leave the room quickly. A maid then enters the room, moving a cart with the main dish for them. The master becomes happy when he looks at it and the maid removes the cover. He smells the dish, which he says smells very good. He says that there is nothing better than having some good food before leaving for battle, and his sons ask if they can have a small bite, but he says that they cannot. If they want it, they must hunt it themselves, and the food is his because he hunted it himself today. He takes a bite of the food and says it is very good and it tastes like victory. He then thanks the messenger for his hard work, but something feels weird. What a weird and crazy family. The next day, the father leaves Oberth Castle and goes to the royal capital on his horse. He takes a few knights with him and his sons wave at him, telling him to bring the hero's head with him when he comes back. The two children say that they should practice hunting with a toy, and they both fight off a monster. While the kobold is being defeated, it is screaming a lot in pain, and Adam says that it is very noisy, to which Connie says that it is because he is attacking the monster's throat. Connie says that their father will be bringing them a new monster for them to play with, and they do not need the kobold anymore. The kobold attacks one of the brothers and injures him, and Connie says to eliminate it quickly. Adam attacks it using magic, and the kobold tries to run away, but is not fast enough, and Connie tells Adam that he wants to finish it. Adam says no and attacks again using magic, which almost eliminates the kobold. Adam says sorry while laughing, and they both go and run up to the kobold. Connie asks if it is okay now, and Adam says sure, so Connie starts using his magic to finally get rid of the kobold, when suddenly, Rawl shows up behind them and calls them stinking brats. Rawl smiles at them and tells them what they are doing is fun, so he wants to join in as well. Rawl is lying sitting under a tree and says that the weather is nice when one of the kids shout at him and say that their father is not going to forgive him for doing this. They are both tied up with ropes so they cannot move, and tell Rawl that they are the sons of General Brown and tell him to quickly untie them. Rawl tells them that if they have that much energy, they should help the servants out and help them dig holes, and tell the servants to keep digging them faster. Rawl says that he will give the kids a special duty in a while, so they should just be quiet for a while. One of the servants tells Rawl that they found something in the hole they dug, and Rawl gets happy. Rawl goes over to the hole and sees bones of people in the ground and says that for the bone digging game, Enrico, the stable boy, has 1 point. Enrico tells Rawl that these are all the bones they have and there is nothing more, but Rawl tells him that he should not lie to him and grabs his head. Rawl says that this is not enough at all and that Enrico knows how many people were eliminated in this castle. Enrico asks him to let go of him, but one of the maids comes over to him and tells him that she found some more bones as well. The body in the ground is the same as one of the knights that General Brown saved from the goblins, and Rawl tells Enrico that there is more evidence now. Rawl asks if the general ate some meat yesterday, and Enrico gets scared and says no, but Rawl twists his head and tells him not to lie. He knows that the servants made money from taking the victims apart and cleaning up by hiding their bodies, and says that the servants are just as bad as the general. The kids shout at him and tell Rawl that his pride is temporary and that once their father returns, he will be eliminated and will be going to the underworld. Rawl tells them that he already called the general to come back home, so he should be back soon, but the children's mother is hiding behind a wall, getting ready to shoot an arrow at Rawl to save her kids. The arrow is covered in poison, which is enough to eliminate the Goblin King with one shot, and says that their dinner is decided. She shoots the arrow, and the kids notice it and think that they do not need their father to get rid of trash like him. Rawl smiles at them and tells them that it is time to untie them and for them to start their special duty he told them about. When the arrow reaches his head, Rawl's magic activates, which makes the arrow go back towards the mother, which hits her in the stomach. She is surprised but cannot dodge it because it is too fast, and the kids get surprised and scream for their mother. The mother falls down and starts scratching her neck, which makes it bleed, and the poison starts attacking her. The kids start crying while Rawl smiles like a maniac. Rawl says that they should start carrying out their duty before their father comes back home. In the forest, the general and his knights are camping out and resting. He tells them to get some water for the horses as well when suddenly one of the knights screams out and asks what is that. They notice a large light coming from behind the trees and the knight says that there is something strange there. They see that it is the messenger that they eliminated yesterday, and the knights think it is a ghost, but the general thinks that it is crazy. The messenger tells the general to return back home now because the hero, Raul, and his children are waiting for him, and the general is surprised and asks what he said. Raul is resting against a tree and says that time goes by fast when you have a good day. The holes that the servants dug are now filled with the bodies of the servants, and Raul says they deserve it for what they did. Raul says that dark magic is very useful and you can use it to see a person's past and use it on one of the servants. Something comes out of the servant which says that attacking people is the best and how good it feels to become strong. Their master is amazing and gives them a lot of money just for getting rid of the bodies and wonders when the next time they can do it. Raul says that humans are very dark because even though the servants are commoners working common jobs and are weak, powerless people who he risked his life for, they all have rotten souls that would easily attack and get rid of others. He says that he had no idea about the humans and thought that these types of stuff could only be done by demons and says everything is their master's fault. Suddenly, the general shows up in front of Raul and is very angry at him for what he did. Raul welcomes him and says he came back faster than he expected and stands up. We can see that the general's wife has her insides coming out and wrapped around her body and is hung up on the tree and tells the general that they have been waiting for him to come. The general screams at Raul and Raul says some French words, but basically, he says that this was done by his sons. The task that Raul gave them was to take the insides of their mother out and said they were pretty skilled at it. The general takes out his sword and attacks the ground and asks what he did to his sons and where he put them. Raul tells him to calm down and that there is something more important, but the general just attacks him, but Raul easily dodges it. The general starts attacking again and tells Raul to answer his question and throws some sword slashes at him, but Raul easily blocks it with his magic. Raul tells him not to worry and that his sons are still alive, but asks the general if this reminds him of something with his wife's body on the tree. He asks if it reminds him of what he did in Baden village, and we see a younger Raul standing in front of a tree with someone's body hanging from it and flames all around him. A few years ago, when Raul was a child, he was in his village, Baden village, gathering some mushrooms for his family. He finds some and takes them to his big sister, and his sister congratulates him on finding them. They go back home and grill the mushrooms to eat, and when Raul grabs one of the mushrooms, his mother comes behind him and grabs them both and asks if they wash their hands carefully. She tells them to go wash their hands, and Raul says that Baden village is a small village located in the western end of the kingdom of Kurs. He was born and raised in the village and lived with his mother and older sister peacefully. On the day of the incident, Raul and his older sister were playing in the forest and trying to catch a rabbit, but it was too fast for them. Raul would not let it get away because it is their dinner and rolls around on the ground to catch it. After a while, they notice someone coming out of the bushes, covered in blood. It is Uncle Hans, and he tells them that the village was attacked by some demons, and they both run towards the village. The village is on fire, and none of the houses are safe, but Raul needed to save their mother, so he jumps into the fire and tries to run to their house, but his older sister tells him to look behind him. He notices a body hanging on the tree with their insides coming out of their body, and Raul gets scared. Some knights appear to help them, and the general asks if there are any survivors. He'd heard that some demons attacked them and noticed Raul's older sister on the ground. The general looks towards Raul and sees the body on the tree and says that it is very cruel. He asks if the body is their mother's and notices Raul is standing under it, glowing with a light. The general shouts at Raul and goes up to him, and Raul is crying, but gets surprised at it. The sadness and anger in Raul await his heroic powers that were given to him, and the general tells him that the light is a sign that he is a hero. He says that he is sorry for what happened and could not make it in time for the demon's attack, but he is glad that he could save him at least. The general asks if he wants to come back with him to the castle to defeat the demon scum, but Raul does not know that he was the one who attacked the village and is a bad guy. Raul agrees and entered the capital with the general and started training in the royal capital as a hero. He did not know that the path he was walking was set up by the humans. In the general's garden now, Raul says that he was under the wrong impression that demons love setting things on fire, that demons attack villages and take people's lives. His younger self was foolish and believed what everyone told him because he was young and did not know better. His younger self did not want anyone else to go through the same painful thoughts again and would get rid of all the demons for mankind. The general says that he knew what all this was for and that Raul wanted to get revenge now for what he did at the village. The general says that Raul is right and he is the one who burned the village, and it felt very good to do it because you do not get a lot of chances to commit genocide by the king's command. The general says he could not forgive not being able to eliminate him when he was young and asks what part of him is a hero even though he is the strongest person in the kingdom and he should be the hero instead. The general goes crazy and tells Raul how tasty the blood of his mother was. She was trying to save a child from the village who was attacked and begged for his life. She told the general to eliminate her instead and let the child go. The general said that he cooked Raul's mother in front of the child that she was trying to save and that her body was very tender and prime for a country girl. Raul does not really care and the general is surprised at this, and Raul says that even though he is bored, he already knows about the story of the general eating his mother, and that is why he did the same thing the general did to Raul's mother and did it to his wife. Raul says that even though he says he is the strongest, he has been saying the same thing over and over in the past. The general gets angry and says that if Raul did not have the title of hero, he would just be a lowly child and would not be able to match the strongest man, which is him. The general says he will be judged now, and Raul thinks that the general's way of thinking of being strong or being the strongest is what makes him move forward. Raul then says fine and will break apart the general and ends with an epic main character one-liner. Raul tells the general that his sons are chained up in the dungeon in his castle and he can save them if he can defeat Raul. The general gets excited and says that after he beats Raul up, he and his sons will eat his body and enjoy himself. The general attacks with his sword and Raul dodges it easily, but the general destroys the hole where Raul gathered all the servants that committed crimes by attacking other humans. Raul gets a bit upset, but the general attacks him again, but this time Raul jumps up and lands on his sword. Raul tells him that there is no way the general can hit him with such a small attack, and the general is surprised, and Raul summons his sword and starts to attack him. The general gets angry and tries to attack him, but Raul jumps and attacks him with his sword. The general says that it did not do a lot of damage and says Raul's attack was weak, but suddenly he gets pushed into the ground because of his attack. The general is surprised at this, and Raul gets happy and tells him to do his best. The general gets angry again and uses magic to create fire and tells Raul to burn to ash and covers Raul in flames, but Raul steps out of the fire with no damage. Raul gets excited and says that it was a good attack and then starts attacking the general over and over with his sword. The general and Raul both end up with no damage, and Raul notices that he is tired and says that the general got tired pretty fast and gets ready to end this battle. The general gets angry and shouts at Raul to not look down on him and that he is the strongest, so he runs straight at Raul, but Raul easily blocks his attack and pushes him away. The general hits the tree where his wife is hung up on and takes a lot of damage, and Raul wonders why he is so weak when he keeps saying that he is the strongest. The general crawls on the ground and says that there is no way he would lose to someone like Raul, and Raul asks if he can still fight even though he is already losing. The general keeps saying he is the strongest as if Raul had not heard him the first 10 times he said it. Raul then lets the general reach his sword and encourages him to keep going, but just before he can touch it, Raul kicks him in the stomach hard. The general is sent flying away and coughs up blood, and Raul tells him to try again and lets him keep trying to go to his sword before kicking him over and over. The general keeps trying, but he keeps losing blood, and after a while, Raul says that he played around too much and it is time for them to eat dinner. The general asks why he cannot beat Raul even when he thinks he is the strongest, and Raul smiles while using his magic to destroy the general's sword. The sword gets destroyed into pieces, and Raul tells the general that he lost to just a kid, and the general becomes disheartened. Raul uses his magic on the general's hands and destroys it because he does not need it anymore since he destroyed his sword, and the general shouts in pain. Raul tells him that he prepared a special dinner for the general and that he will love it, and tells him that they should head for the feast while the general's hands are laying on the ground beside him with blood everywhere. The general wakes up in his castle sitting on the table with his sons and his hands missing. Raul asks if he is awake now, and the general's sons are also woken up. Raul is dressed up as a chef and did not expect that the general would pass out just from the pain of losing his hands. The general notices Adam and Connie beside him, but both of them look like they have been poisoned by something. The general asks Raul what he did to his sons, and Raul says that he only did what they did to the other people that they ate. Raul says that they have been poisoned by something that the general's wife's family made at their family home and found in the cellar, which he entered when he was planning to tie up his sons. When he entered the underground prison, Raul was wondering where to put the kids and noticed a couple of people in the cells who were moaning. The people in the cells were the servants that worked for the general, and they looked like they were poisoned by the general's wife. The kids that Raul brought with him were still crying about their mother, and Raul thought they were useless and was going to throw them into the prison when he noticed a small glass bottle with poison in it and got a better idea. Raul said that the general's wife created a poison that is shocking even though his wife's family is noble and created many healers in the nation. Raul told the general that he was planning on going to his wife's family next after this, so if he has a message for them, to let him know, but the general gets angry and tells Raul to screw himself, so Raul said that he will tell them to go screw themselves. Raul notices that the hot plate to heat the food is ready, so he starts the carnival feast and prepares the ingredients. Raul says that he has 2 lambs and a bull ready to eat, but the general is upset and tells him to stop, but Raul says that to enjoy the freshest meat, he would cut them on the table in front of the general. The general tells him to stop, but Raul's magic would not let him move around, and Raul takes out a knife with a curve in it. Raul peels one of the son's shoulders in front of the general, and he screams at him to stop, but Raul puts it on top of the hot plate. Raul says that the oil looks creamy, so it is fresh, and sprinkles it with salt and pepper. He serves it to the general and puts it on his plate, but since the general has no hands anymore, Raul forcefully opens his mouth with magic and feeds it to him. Raul forces the general to chew with magic and asks if it tastes good, and the general tries to throw it out of his mouth, but Raul stops him and says it would be a waste if it spills, even though it is his favorite dish. The general finally swallows the meat, and the general gets angry at him and shouts at him, calling him something bad. Raul asks if he means himself and tells him that he is only doing what the general did to him before. Raul then cuts off the thighs, ribs, tripe, and tongue off of his son and feeds it all to the general. Raul says that the general enjoyed himself because he finished eating all of it and prepared the bull meat for his other son to eat. Raul asks what part would the general like for him to eat and starts off with the shoulders with a crazy look in his face while laughing. The general screams in pain and feeds the meat to the general's son, but he is too poisoned to notice what he is eating and what is going on around him and enjoys the meat he is eating. Raul laughs and tells the general that they are both the same because he is eating while happy, but the general asks Raul to save him. The general says that if Raul is doing all this, he should at least let him and his eldest son go and does not care about the younger son because the eldest son is the heir to the castle. What a bad father. The general begs for forgiveness and asks Raul to let them go, but Raul says that this is how his mother felt when she begged for the kid's life before the general ate her. Raul steps on the table and tells the general to remember what he did to Raul's mother's body because he will be doing the same thing the general did to his mother to him. The general screams for someone to save him, but no one is strong enough to beat the main character, especially someone like Raul. Raul goes outside and sits under the tree again and rests and says that the show is over now that the whole family has been eliminated. Raul says that bodies do not give off feelings, and the only ones who eat their anger are the ones who Raul gets revenge on while they are alive. Now that Raul defeated the demons of Killer Castle and got something handy as well, he gets ready to play with his next targets for his revenge. In the past, at the Pharmaceutical Research Institute at Altman Resort National, there were people screaming to let them go and asking someone why they are doing this to them. The female doctor says that it is a good question and wants to know how much body can a person lose before passing away. The female researcher, Rin Bennick, slices off the feet of the patient and blood goes everywhere. She says that the feet look good and adds them to her collection, and then wonders what would happen if you replace a human's brain with a monkey's. A child patient comes into the room on a bed cart, asking where her mother is, and the researcher wonders what to do with the brain while the child keeps screaming for his mother. Ren goes to another building, and there is a knock on the door. A person enters the room, Lucas Eckhart, who is a military commander advisor and came to collect the waste. Ren says that he came early, and Lucas asks if there are more bodies, and Ren says there are 2 more. Lucas opens the box and sees that it is filled with heads of people and smiles. Lucas asks Ren if she will pay him more for the extra bodies added and does not mind how much she adds as long as she pays him more. Lucas asks when he will be getting the payment, and Ren says that he always asks the same thing and that he would be paid today. Lucas says that he always asks because he cannot trust her unless she says that she will pay him, and Ren thinks that the only thing in his mind is money. Ren is talking to Lord Da Costa, the Research Institute supervisor, who wants to create immortal soldiers. He wants to make them so they would not be eliminated so quickly after a painful fight just from a single monster. He asks if there is anything Ren can do about it, and Ren asks if it would be too annoying to deal with them when they become immortal. Lord Da Costa asks what she means, and Ren says that no matter how immortal they are, once their body rots, they would not work anymore and instead would make a drug that would make them destroy themselves after a set amount of time after they raise their strength and then destroy the enemy. She would also make a cure just in case, and Lord Da Costa says that it is a good idea. Lord Da Costa tells Ren to start immediately, and Lord Da Costa's son, Johannes, is looking for injured soldiers at a hospital. Johannes asks the nun if there are any and asks him what he would be doing with them, and he says that he will be taking them to the lab because Ren created a cure for them. He says that the drug will cure any injuries and gives it to everyone. Later, at the lab, Ren, Lord Da Costa, and Johannes see that the soldiers who took the drug turned into monsters and start eating each other. Ren says it will take more time to fix it and asks for more subjects, and Lord Da Costa asks his son to bring more. After more testing, there are some kids who are in the lab and ask Ren that if they will help with the experiment, would they be able to live at the noble's house. Ren says that it is true as long as they take the drug, and all the kids are happy because they can eat now. Ren smiles and starts the experiment, but the kids turn into monsters that are thirsty for water. Ren says that they turn to people too quickly, and Lord Da Costa brings in more people. They ask if they do not need to pay him back the money Lord Da Costa gave to them, and because of that, they volunteered to become subjects to the experiment. They all agree, and Johannes and Lord Da Costa smile evilly, and the people turn into monsters again. Ren says that their strength is fine now, and the duration of them turning into monsters is also good. Ren finally developed the drug that turns into monsters and called it the berserker. Lord Da Costa congratulates Ren and tells her to give it to the useless soldiers immediately. The soldiers are transporting goods to Nor village as their first job, and Raul is fighting on the front lines now and wants to be useful to him by delivering supplies to him because he rescued them from the slums. Johannes stops the soldiers and tells them that they have reached the halfway point and tells them to put their stuff down. Since they are entering the forest now with many strong monsters, they need to take the drug to protect themselves. At present time, Raul is sitting in the room of the research building while it is raining and gets ready to start the fun and exciting game of his revenge. Behind him is the general who killed his mother, and he now fights for Raul. At the Pharmaceutical Research Institute, Lord Da Costa is walking around the mansion while there is a thunderstorm outside. Lord Da Costa is nervous after finding out that his daughter's family, the general's wife, has been eliminated. He swears at the general because he always showed off his strength and said that he is the strongest person but does not know what he did. Lord Da Costa does not want to spare soldiers from the research facility to send to the royal capital because he would lose a lot if something bad happens and gets angry. He is talking to Johannes, Lucas, and Ren, and Johannes says that his father is right and they should give the military commander some money so they can send soldiers to them so they can experiment on them. Johannes is scared because he does not want to be eliminated like his little sister was. Ren says that they do not need to be scared of anything because as long as they have the drug, the hero cannot do anything and that the drug will help them. Johannes asks how she would drug the hero, and Ren tells him to use his head. Johannes gets angry at her and starts to fight her, but Lord Da Costa tells them to stop because now is not the time to fight each other. Lucas tells everyone to calm down and tells them to think about everything carefully. Lord Da Costa thinks that Lucas was sent to guard them, but he came alone, and Johannes whispers to his father that there are stories of the capital sending Lucas alone to the battlefield, which is better than sending 200 soldiers. Lucas shows them a warning letter he got from the royal capital, which makes the threat of Raul coming to them much worse. Everyone is shocked at this, and Lucas asks if they are aware of the revenge that the hero is talking about, and Ren says she has no clue, but Johannes is surprised and wonders if the hero is getting revenge for something that happened before. Ren gets angry at Johannes, and Lucas asks what he meant by that and figures out that there was something Johannes and Ren did that would make the hero angry and try to get revenge on them. Johannes tries to explain, but Ren tells him to stop. Lord Da Costa says that there is no correct reason behind the hero's revenge and that he is just a traitor who went crazy. Ren tells him to be quiet and tells him that the hero could possibly hear them talking. Lucas smiles and says that Ren is right. The hero is just a stupid person who does not know how the world works, and even if he became someone crazy and attacks everyone for revenge, he is not someone they should be scared of. Lucas asks them again what they did in the past and tells them that if they do not answer, he might not be able to protect them from the hero. Lord Da Costa tells him that it might have something to do with the drugs that they gave to the soldiers during the war in the past, but Johannes says that it should have been a secret. Lucas tells them to calm down and that they have him to protect them. Lord Da Costa asks if he is not lying, and Lucas says he is not. Lucas says that someone like the general only has physical strength, and someone like Lucas is the only one who can beat the hero on the same level. Lord Da Costa remembers what Johannes said about people sending Lucas to the battlefield alone and tells him that he trusts him. Lucas tells him to leave it to him, and he is looking forward to the payment later, and Lord Da Costa says he would pay him anything he wants. Suddenly, a lightning strike hits the building and a dark shadow is right outside the window, which looks like the body of the general. Everyone gets scared when they see a skeleton outside the window, and Rena and Johannes scream in fear. Lord Da Costa shouts at the skeleton, wondering what it is, and Lucas is quiet. The skeleton is trying to say something, and Johannes gets scared and cries, while Ren tells Lucas to make the skeleton go away, but Lucas tells them to wait because he can hear the skeleton say something. The skeleton tells them that they have been locked inside the facility and none of the humans inside the facility will be able to leave, and only those who can escape before midnight will be allowed to leave. He says that the game of hide and seek now begins and tells them that the game will begin in 10 minutes. They can run or hide or fight as much as they can. Johannes gets scared and hugs Lord Da Costa, but his father tells him to get off of him. When the skeleton leaves, Ren tells Lucas that the hero is just controlling a body with magic, and Lucas tells them that the enemy wants them to be in a hurry. Lucas asks again what they did to make the hero angry at them, and that the hero always followed a rule of an eye for an eye, and probably will stay the same. Lucas asks them if they eliminated the soldiers who took the drug and said that they were the hero's favorite men. Lord Da Costa tells him that all he did was only getting the supply soldiers a drug to make them a bit stronger, and they developed it at the research facility. They were eliminated because of the side effects of the drug, and they were worthless anyway, and calls them unimportant losses. Johannes says that his father is right, and they eliminated all the monsters in the forest as well. Ren tells Lucas that if it was not for her drug, they would all be eliminated anyway because of how weak they are, and that they should be thankful to her. Lucas asks if the drug is still in the research facility, and Johannes screams, thinking that if the drug is stolen, then the facility will become a monster facility. Lucas says that he will ask for more details later and asks them to show where they stored the drug, and Ren guides him to the area while Lord Da Costa tells them not to leave him. Johannes and Lord Da Costa follow Ren and Lucas while Lucas asks for more details. He asks if the drug is only just for increasing strength, and before Johannes can answer, Lord Da Costa tells him that he cannot tell them because it is a top secret. Lucas then tells them that there is no point in saying that now because all their lives are in danger. When they reach the storeroom, Ren opens the door and they enter the room and notice that the shelves that were supposed to have the drug are all empty now, and notice a letter on the shelf. The letter makes fun of them and has "first come, first serve" written on it. Lord Da Costa says that the hero is making fun of them, and Ren opens the window, saying that it is too dangerous for them to stay there, and tries to escape outside, but suddenly, a magic circle activates which blocks off the way to leave the facility. Ren notices that it is dark magic, and Lord Da Costa is angry and wonders if there is no way for them to escape now. He screams that there is no way to escape the ogre who is followed by the dead, and Raul is walking around the castle happily while the skeleton body is playing the trumpet. Raul and the general are walking around the facility, throwing some papers around while the general is playing the trumpet. Raul says that it was a good idea to bring the general with him because he is very useful in carrying the heady glass bottles for him. The people in the facility notice the papers everywhere, which have the rules of the hide and seek game, and they say that they should tell all the other researchers about it. Raul walks around the corner and scares the researchers, who start running away from him. One of them says that they should tell the other 3 people, but the other guy says that there is no point and they should just leave. They have no time to tell the other people because the conference room is on the highest floor and they are currently on the first floor and it would take too long to get there. Raul claps his hand and gets ready to start the game while the researchers stand around, waiting for something to happen like a bunch of chickens. Raul says they should play together and tells the general to attack the researchers as if he is a Pokemon, and he almost finishes them all instantly. Raul tells him that he is too violent and he needs them alive and to pile them in the corner of the room. While the general is moving the bodies by using his floating hands that Raul removed before, Raul goes up to them to talk to them, and the researchers get scared and tell him to help them, and they will do anything for him. Raul asks them for his help, and they happily accept, but Raul tells them that he has a drug with him and asks them if they can drink it for him. The researcher gets scared because he knows what the drug does, and Raul grabs his mouth and opens it to force him to drink it. When he does, the researcher's body becomes black and turns into a monster, and the other people get scared when they see this. Raul looks at the monster and understands what happens when someone takes the drug, and the monster shouts because his throat is dry. Raul knows that when someone turns into a berserker, they get thirsty a lot, and that is what happened to the monster. The monster attacks a wall and becomes very powerful, and the other researchers are scared because of what is happening, but the general grabs one of them. Raul says that the place has a lot of monsters, and one of the other researchers tries to run away while he has the chance, but the monster is right in front of him and asks for water. The monster grabs him, and the researcher asks for help, so Raul uses his magic to explode the hands of the monster. Raul asks him if he is all right, and they are happy that he saved them, and Raul tells them that they should not kill them because he will have all the researchers take the drug as well. The researchers get confused, and Raul forces them to take the drug. Raul says that he should have dressed up as a nurse because he is basically a doctor, giving people drugs. The whole floor is filled with the researchers who turned into monsters, and they are all thirsty. They attack Raul, and the general stands in front of Raul and protects him, but the monster is too strong and eliminates the general in one attack. The blood makes them all thirsty, and they try to drink it, but Raul is more worried about the blood that is going on his clothes. Raul says that he finally got a useful servant and tells the general that he did well, even though he did not last long. He makes fun of the general, saying that he thought he was one of the 5 strongest people in the country and understood that the drug is very good at making people stronger, and they have finally made humans into weapons. The monsters are asking for water, and Raul says he will take care of them all and tells them to come to him and attack him. The monsters attack Raul, but they cannot hit him, and Raul dodges their attacks. Raul notices that they are very fast and lands on their back. The monsters try to go on top of each other to attack Raul, and Raul says they are very wild. Raul kicks one of the monsters, and his head comes off with blood going everywhere. Raul is worried that his suit got dirty again, and the monsters keep chasing him and attacking him. Raul asks how they feel taking the drug that they made themselves, and now he finally has the chance to play with them until the end. Raul uses his dark magic to push them all away, and the monster that Raul was standing on attacks him while thanking him for his service and pushes him away as well. Raul checks his clock and says that there is about 5 minutes left, and that the researchers who turned into monsters are the same as beasts the way they are now. Raul researched the bad stuff they did while he was inspecting them. The researchers were saying that the people were crazy for risking their lives on the battlefield, and that all they have is a useless brain that does not even understand what is happening to them and the way they are being treated. The researchers all laugh at the soldiers, saying that they are just useless pawns for them, and it would be annoying if they are smarter. The soldiers should use their life for the researchers, and that the battle in the front lines is not decided by them, but by the researchers because of how smart they are. The researchers want to make the kingdom of Kurz better and make it the supreme ruler of the world when they finish making the drug. All 231 researchers who worked at the facility were all trash who say the same thing over and over. Not one of the 231 researchers had a decent soul and were all corrupt and evil. All the researchers' ego was high because they think that everyone that is less smarter than them should be eliminated for being useless. Raul thinks if humans are like that every day, or if the citizens became crazy after the country has been in multiple wars over and over. Raul does not care though, because all he cares about is his revenge and says that it is time now. All the monsters suddenly rip their head off and scream in pain, and Raul laughs at them, telling them to show more pain. The drug that they made makes them into monsters right after they take it, and then they transform again 10 minutes later. 15 minutes after taking the drug, the monsters all self-destruct and all their bodies explode. Raul laughs at them and their body parts are all over the walls and floor. Raul thinks back to the time when he saved the supply soldiers who carry goods to a safe camp away from the front lines. The soldiers thank Raul for saving them and want to join his army because they admire him. Raul eliminated all the monsters in the front line because he did not want them to be hurt, but the enemies were not at the front line but within. Johannes made them take the drug which transformed them into berserkers because they wanted to test the effect of the drug, and they were all eliminated. Raul mocks the researchers when they said that they are prodigies who bring victories, which is stupid because the only reason they can fight with their brains is because the soldiers are protecting them on the battlefield. Now, the facility is a battlefield, and Raul gets ready to go to the second floor to make the researchers there drink the drug as well, and then finally go to the top floor for a medical exam. Raul uses his magic to prepare for something and uses it on the doors. On the top floor of the facility, Lord Da Costa says that the whole thing is dumb because they have to free the soldiers from the research facility to send to the royal capital, and they would lose a lot if they do that. Johannes agrees with him and tells him that they should give money to the military commander to send them soldiers and does not want to be eliminated like his little sister. Ren says that they do not need to fear because they have the drug, and if the hero shows up, they can use it on him. Johannes asks how they would do that, and Ren tells him to use his head, and they start to fight, but Lord Da Costa tells them to stop. Raul saw everything from the outside and wanted to laugh very hard. Lucas tells them about the warning letter he got from the royal capital, and Raul thinks that they should calm down because if they do not, he will laugh out really loud. They have been waiting for the hero to come for 2 hours and did not figure out that they have been locked in, but their experience will be very good with his illusion magic. Raul then starts the main event on the top floor where everyone is and uses the general's body to scare them. When everyone gets scared, Raul enjoys their reaction and says that the real general was already crushed on the first floor and that he just used some of his flesh to make his current body. The mask that Raul is wearing was also made from the same flesh as the general. While the whole group is arguing, Raul starts the game and begins to enjoy himself and wonders what they will do next. Johannes says that if the drug gets stolen, the whole facility will become a monster house, and Lucas asks them to show where the drug is. When they reach the room where the drug is supposed to be, they notice it is not there, and Raul leaves a message for them and makes fun of them. Raul already stole the drug when he arrived at the research facility and already used it on the lower floors. When Ren opens the window to escape, Raul's magic activates, which does not allow anyone to leave. Raul says that going outside is useless now since they can only play hide and seek inside the facility. Raul wonders what they will do now, and Lucas says that they cannot escape now. Johannes gets scared and tells his father that they need to hurry and hide, and Lord Da Costa tells them that they need to find a good place to hide and to find it fast. Raul wonders who will be the first one to be found. Lord Da Costa locks the door first and remembers that Raul said that they can leave if they can escape by midnight. Lucas asks him if he really believes that, and there are still 6 more hours until midnight.
Hey!
Johannes says that they should still hide because it is the safest option, and Ren says that they should move to a room that the hero would not be able to find. Lucas asks if there is a room like that, and Ren says that there is one. Lord Da Costa asks if it is true and to show them the way to the room as fast as possible, and Lucas tells them to calm down. Ren thinks that they are idiots and says they should have some coffee, and Johannes says that now is not the time. Ren wants to take a break before they move and starts making it. She thinks of a plan and thanks them for being idiots because now she has a chance to escape. When she finishes making the coffee, she shares it with the group, and Lord Da Costa, Johannes, and Lucas start to drink the coffee. Before Ren drinks it though, Lucas asks her to switch cups with her, and Ren asks why. Lucas is suspicious of her and says that she might have added something into the coffee because she made it for them, especially when they are in a research facility with drugs that change people into monsters. Johannes and Lord Da Costa spit out the coffee in surprise when they hear that, and Lucas says that she could be trying to drug them and turn them into monsters to fight the hero, and knowing her, she would do something like that. Ren laughs and says that she did not add anything to hers or Lucas's cups, and Lord Da Costa and Johannes are surprised. Lucas asks her to explain what she means, and Ren tells Lucas to stop his acting. Everyone is surprised, and Ren says that they have been fooled the whole time. When they were talking in the conference room, Lucas said that the hero always followed the rule of an eye for an eye, and Ren asked where he found that out. The emergency letter that he got would not have written something like that, and Lucas understands the hero well. Ren says that Lucas is trying to be someone he is not, and that he talks too much, which ruins his plan, and tells him to end it and call him the hero Raul. Johannes and Lord Da Costa are surprised, and Ren laughs at him and says that the intelligent one is the true victor because she saw through his plan. Lucas, or Raul, claps his hands and smiles and congratulates Ren. He says that he would be sad if nobody noticed anything, so he gave a hint to help them, but that it was too simple, and smiles like a crazy man. Ren gets angry at Raul, saying that he is acting like he has the freedom to talk even though he lost the hide-and-seek game, and since they won, he should let them go. Ren says that he will be eliminated by Johannes and Lord Da Costa, and the two of them get surprised at that. Because they drank the coffee that Ren made, they will turn into berserkers in 1 minute, and the drug she put in the coffee has been made stronger and is 100 times more powerful than the usual drugs they gave to the soldiers they experimented on. Ren laughs at Raul and asks how it feels like to be a loser, and Raul asks if that is all she did. Ren is confused, and Raul says that it cannot be the end of her reasoning. Ren shouts at him, saying that he is just acting like a loser because he lost the game, but Raul does not really care. Ren thinks about what Raul means by that and wonders if she is being pricked by him, but he might just be wasting time so he can think of what to do next. Ren calls him stupid and says that she will gain more the longer he wastes time because soon Johannes and Lord Da Costa will be turned into monsters. Ren tells Raul not to regret accepting his loss and points to Johannes and Lord Da Costa, telling them to eliminate Raul, thinking that they already turned into monsters. When she looks at them, she sees that they are still humans even though some time has passed, and the two move away from her, but they have not changed at all. Ren is confused and does not know why they have not changed, because she did multiple experiments and all of the people who took the drug changed into a berserker within 5 minutes, but nothing happened to the two of them. She knows that the drug she made is perfect and does not understand it. Raul then tells her that no matter how much time passes, they will not turn into monsters because the drug only works on living human beings, meaning Lord Da Costa and Johannes are not alive anymore. Ren is surprised, and Raul tells her that she was too confident in her way of thinking just because she solved a puzzle that could only trick children, and he thought she was smarter than that and feels disappointed in her. Raul removes his magic and changes his appearance from Lucas to his real hero appearance and tells Ren that she lost the game of hide and seek. Johannes and Lord Da Costa's skin turned black, and Raul says that he made them look alive by using his illusion magic on them, and by the time they were in the conference room, they were not alive anymore. It took a long time controlling and disguising Johannes and Lord Da Costa, but Raul says that he had a lot of fun doing it and tricking Ren. Ren is shocked and sits on the ground, and Raul tells her that even though she was confident in figuring out his plan and probably thought that there was only one enemy between the four for them, but she was actually all alone between the four of them, since Lucas was actually Raul and Johannes, and Lord Da Costa was not alive anymore. Raul laughs at her and mocks her when she told Johannes and Lord Da Costa to finish him and told her to make sure they turned into monsters first before ordering them to do it. Raul asks her how it feels like to be a loser now, but Ren starts crying, and Raul says that her secret drug was all wasted now and tells her not to cry because he has a stage prepared for her to perform her experiments on. Raul grabs her head and tells her that they will have fun together and takes her somewhere else in the facility. Ren cannot see where they are going and shouts at Raul to let her go, but Raul says he has a surprise for her and binds her hands behind her because she was struggling. Raul says that even though she did bad things as well, and asked how many people she eliminated to get enough subjects for her experiment to test her drug on. Ren says that he is wrong about all of that, and that it was not her plan to do all that, but she was just following someone's order. But Raul says that Johannes and Lord Da Costa said the same thing and blamed Ren when he was going to attack the two of them. Ren calls them liars, and Raul says that they were correct because she thought of the idea, and Johannes and Lord Da Costa just helped her out. But since they are not alive anymore, there is no point in putting the crime on them. They arrive at another floor, and Raul pushes Ren onto the floor, and she lands on some water. Raul removes his magic on her and tells her to look around her first, and she sees the bodies of the researchers that turned into monsters because of her drug. Ren gets scared and screams out loud, and Raul laughs at her. asking why she is shocked at this even though she was the one who made all this. Rawl says that she can reach the underground lab if she enters the door at the end of the hall and tells her that she can probably reach it if she swims all the way there. Rawl tells her to swim because he wants to see her be desperate to live and starts having fun with her, while Ren is still screaming in fear. Ren crawls all over the monster's body to reach the end of the hallway while still being shocked, and Rawl tells her to go faster because her experiments are waiting for her.